Hello writers, and welcome back to another video. Today we'll be looking at writer's block again, except this video will be having a bit of a different layout or different format, different way I'm going about it basically. Today we're going to be looking at is it writer's block, and we're not really looking at the is it part today, but we are looking at do you need visual inspiration? And this is something that I mentioned in a previous video about aphantasia, where visual inspiration outside of our own mind or visualization can be really helpful and important for us when we are developing our worlds and stories, because writing is a very text-based medium, and sometimes to help us be inspired or like get in the mood or feel like we want to work on a project sometimes, it'd be good to have somewhere to look or something to look at to help you be visually inspired, or even something to work on. Even the process of making this, like making your forms of visual inspiration, can be very helpful to you. And so in today's video, instead of looking through my PowerPoint slides and talking about them, I'm going to, while talking about it, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your own visual boards if you are not sure how to do it yet, because while it can come really easily to some people who are used to technology and know the ways to find the ways, sometimes we need a bit of help, so I'm hoping this video could help. So here we are, and as you may see, we are on Canva. And I recommend using Canva because it is one of the most diverse websites to find different templates for different things, such as how right here it says video, banner for landscape, Instagram post logo, Facebook cover, Facebook post, etc, etc. There are so many templates and different things you can do with Canva that it is my top recommended place to do design work for your your hobbies or whatever you'd like to do if you don't have other programs such as Adobe Illustrator or all those other things that are rather expensive. So yeah, what I like to do is I use the search bar and search collage, and it'll take its time to load. And there are a lot of collages here that you can use, but one of the most basic and still very impactful ways to make a collage is using, the 3x3 grid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, find one I like, and you could use any of these if you'd like to just go and explore, but for now I'm going to be showing you guys the 3x3 grid and how to work with it. So I just took a template here to, use as a template and edit through. So what I'm going to do is I want to make a full picture or image one, so I'm going to remove this text. You can leave it like this with the border, like a colored border around it, but if you want, you can also drag it to the edges. You just left click and hold and drag, and the corners you can reshape as well. So I like bringing them to corners to be borderless, because I've tried one of the borders and it wasn't really my taste, so now I'm experimenting with different ones. You can also just click it, and the collages, this collage particularly is made of a grid, which means Canva has a feature where you can change the spacing between the grids. So here's 100 spacing. It's really spaced out between each picture. Or you can have a really seamless one where you do 0 and then now there's no lines in between. I like that as well. Or you could just do a small bit of outline around each picture. Different ways you can get pictures for your mood boards are by just searching. So let's just do flower. Search flower, go to photos. As flower, you just left click and drag, and then if you hover over the edge of a box or into a box, it will just snap into it. Or you could upload pictures. So I have a bunch of pictures uploaded from when I was doing some work on my mood boards. So for example, I'll just click and drag from my selection of uploaded images, and then I can make a mood board like that. So I will speak a bit about why I do mood boards. A lot of people see it as a form of procrastination, and maybe that's correct. You could spend a lot of time like being on Canva and scrolling through pictures just to find what you want for your book and then not actually working on your book. But, you know, it's also beneficial to have something that you can refer to understand what, or like, it's even the process. The process of finding the pictures can help you determine what vibes you want or the atmosphere or themes you want to address in your story. And it can help also with characterization. Finding pictures that you associate with your characters or settings can also help you understand more about your characters, because there is an actual visual medium there instead of only writing down the qualities in words. Because the human mind is very good at associating pictures with different feelings or themes or topics. So by giving yourself the medium to look at your characters or books or settings visually, then you can look into them more in depth rather than just sitting down and writing out a document about your characters or settings. And so I like making collages about my characters because then I can find out little tidbits about them. For example, I was making a collage for my character named Kalea, and I was looking through images that I could relate to her. One of the pictures I found was like this really nice violin one. I think I might have it here somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, so this one, I have a really, like, it was really nice. It caught my eye really easily. And I thought, yeah, this is a picture that I want to associate with Kalea because I can see her personality in this. I can see what her character is like. And beforehand, I didn't think of Kalea as a violin player. I didn't think of her having any instrumental talents. But then when I saw that picture and it resonated with me to associate with Kalea, then I made it so one of her things is that she plays violin. And she actually does play violin in the book near the end for my main character because it's just a little bit of a nice gesture that they do. And yeah, so I think even if mood boards can be a bit of a time occupant, something you should do while you should be writing, there are some benefits to it that I find personally, because I really like visual things, and visual things help me with brainstorming, inspiration, or even when I haven't worked on my project for a while and I look back at my mood boards, I'm like, oh yeah, I can feel the characters through these pictures, I can feel the story, which makes me want to work on the story. Anyway, let's move on to somewhere where I like to look for pictures, which is Pinterest. One of the most popular places to find random aesthetic pictures. So yeah, there are ways like keywords you can use to find specific images you'd like. For example, if we want like a dark fantasy theme, we can do dark fantasy aesthetic. Like the two keywords I find in Pinterest to find different things are aesthetic or also like core. Like you may have heard of cottagecore if you're like around those communities. I spelled core wrong twice, but that's okay. Cottagecore, some people do like royal core. You can even look at the suggestions they put, like see what people use to like tag their images as. But yeah, anyway, we'll look at dark fantasy. So, for example, this castle you could use in mood board because, you know, maybe make a mood board for the kingdom that this dark fantasy book takes place in, and this picture could give you inspiration for how the castle is, like the appearance of the castle and like how it's structured and how you could describe it in the book. So there's this image. It's a lady in a dress and she's holding a sword behind her back. It could possibly be inspiration for something a character does in your book. Maybe in a certain scene, she has like a sword behind her back and like something comes up because of it, and it's inspired by this picture. Maybe your characters go traveling across the sea, and so you use this picture because there's a scroll, there's a map and a compass, and this image you can associate with, you know, that's part of the book or that part of a character. And even if you like open the image in a new tab, you'll be able to find similar images. So for example, this image would go really well with go really well with a character who travels a lot over the sea. So I'll actually use these pictures to give an example. So you can just right click, copy image, go to your Canva, just paste right into your canvas or like your area. I accidentally pasted it twice, but that's okay. And it will automatically come up in your uploads area. And from there you can use it to drag into the boxes. So let's go to this second image. I'll open a new tab. Let's see what else. I like this image. I think this one gives really nice. I'm not too sure how to describe it, but like, let's say I want a male character, and male character is a bit mysterious, so the shadow work and like everything, like the vibe of the image, the aesthetic, then that can appeal to the character. So there's a key in this image. Let's say there's a key in the story that is very important to the plot. It's a plot device or something like that. Or prized possession of the character. That could be an idea if I want to. I've been trying to develop a character while making this board. Copy image, paste into it. When you paste it, it will just automatically start uploading, so you can just delete it right after, and then start dragging your images into boxes. And you can also see I'm trying to keep the same color scheme. Like for these images earlier that I put in, I tried to keep a greenish color scheme because that's the color scheme I associate with my main character Iris. So for this one, this was my main inspiration image, and it's kind of brown darkish and like beige. So I'm trying to like get the same colors in my mood board because, you know, it's an aesthetic thing, and you know, if you're doing a mood board, then you're likely trying to aim for your aesthetics. So it's a good idea to probably look at images with similar tone in color, or similar colors in general. Drag that in. Let's keep exploring. Alright, so this image caught my eye. And I'm thinking an image of this guy writing at a desk, writing these letters the old-fashioned way. Makes me think, what if my character is the sailor on the sea in this ship, and he likes writing letters. I don't know to who. Maybe he writes letters like to people he doesn't know. Like he makes these stories up about people in the sea, and he writes letters to them, and then maybe something comes off of that. Like this isn't the case that I'm making up a story completely from these images that I'm finding, but you can use them in different scenarios. Like if you want to make up a story and just go exploring for different images, if you want to make mood boards for established characters, or you want to develop your character a bit more. Either way, you can make mood boards like this to kind of flesh out your ideas and get inspiration from these different images. And you know, you can tell stories through these images, even though they're just random ones you found and you're just scrolling through. And you can see here some suggestions like dark academy aesthetic, brown aesthetic, Hogwarts aesthetic, romantic academia. That's a pretty good theme, I'll click that. But you can use those keywords as well to find what you'd like. So let's take a look at this picture that I kind of liked. It's not very high quality, which is okay, but we can look at similar images as well if we scroll down. And my thought process behind this one is I'm thinking, what if our character who sails the seas and writes stories about make-believe things is actually writing these letters because he wants to send them back to someone he has back home. Someone who inspires him and taught him to write stories and had taught him to, you know, find stories in the simple things. And he's really inspired while he goes on this trip away from her, and then he'll come back and then he'll share all his stories with her. I mean, he'll share all his stories with the person that inspired him to write them in the first place. So I'll just use this picture. It's a bit blurry, but it's okay because it will be scaled down in the mood board. So I'm just going to add it and it should be fine. There we go. So this image represents kind of his home. Like he has someone he loves in a beautiful place. But I feel like the imagery of them holding hands like this could be indicating of how he's a bit far away from her. But, you know, everything else shows how, like, he's traveling, he's inspired, he wants to write. It would probably be helpful to find something that relates to the fact that he makes stories out of the basic things. So let's just keep searching. So I thought of this image, and I'm thinking my thought process behind this one is, even though they're dragons or mythical creatures, because I imagine this world doesn't actually have mythical creatures, and that's why he's making these stories that are inspired by random things he sees across his trip, or along his trip. I'm thinking, because the dragons are like kind of dark and shadowed out, it can be like a symbol of the dragons. He can imagine them amongst the shadows, but they're not actually there because they're just like silhouettes he sees and not actual things. So let's add that to his mood board. You know, originally I came into this video not knowing what I would make a mood board out of. Somehow I've led my way into making a mood board for a character that I just made up on the spot from seeing this one picture, which can be a good strategy for when you're not really working on anything and you want to work on something new, or, you know, you want to try writing something new while you're taking a break from another project. So, you know, it is all well and ends well. I like this image because it kind of makes me think it's like a bit of a different forest than usual, and it's making me think in my head, maybe there can be a scene where he has to go through this forest, and let's say he's really caught up on all these stories he's writing and missing his like partner, girlfriend, wife, whatever, or fiance. And so he goes into this forest, and as he goes more into the forest, it kind of bends and changes his perception of reality. And because he's so emotional and like misses his partner and really making these stories, maybe he starts having these visions or hallucinations of these stories he's making until he gets out of the forest. I don't know, could be a random arc in the story that I'm thinking of, because as I said, I haven't thought of this beforehand, so I'm just making it up on the spot. But it's a little bit of fun visual storytelling that you could do. Flowers. I like the look of these flowers. Maybe they could be a symbol within the story, something that he relates to his partner, and something that like is a recurring symbol and could be an indication of stuff happening. So maybe there are flowers on his desk and they're all bright and blooming, and his wife gave them to him to go on his trip. But then as he goes and as he further descends into not knowing what the difference between reality and fantasy is, and being really emotional about missing his wife, making these stories up and doing his best to really grasp onto making this trip that he didn't really want to go on better, the flowers begin to wilt and lose their petals. Whenever he goes to grab one, the thorns prick him. Some sort of strong symbolism around flowers. I haven't looked into flowers very much, but I feel like just the natural growth and, you know, death of a flower could be really symbolic to him, and since they were given by his partner. And yeah. So as you just saw, I literally made like an entire story out of this one collage. This 9-image collage about this man who he travels around, and he's going on a big trip because he has this nice map. And he he's like, he is very alone and secluse and mysterious to other people. And, well, key. I chose a key because I like the symbolism of it. I think keys can symbolize, on one hand, opening opportunities and opening doors to new things, but also you can use keys to lock things away. Maybe that's some sort of message that's in the book. This middle image, I imagined he writes stories, he writes letters about make-believe things. And because of this next image, I thought he has a partner who tells him to find inspiration in the little simple things and make big things out of them. And he does. He does it very successfully with, like, being able to see landscapes and seeing the shadows and seeing things that can be made out of them, like these dragons in the mountaintops. But then he has a bit of a downfall when he's, I don't know why he wouldn't be on a ship and be in the forest, but like, I just thought of it. If I was actually plotting, I would actually make a reason in between. But he ends up in this forest where the trees are twisting and it's foggy and the light's coming from different places and he can't really tell what's going on. And because of all these stories in his head, they start to come to life. And he's beginning to not be able to see the line between fantasy and reality because he wants to go home. And he wants to get back grounded and in touch with his partner because he felt like he wasn't ready for this trip. And it's a really big trip and he's not connecting with other people because he's always sitting at home, or not at home, in his cabin all day writing stories. And we have flowers that his wife gave to him at the beginning of his trip that symbolize his growth but also symbolize his downfall. Maybe they bloom really well at the start where he's actually being creative and inspired. But then as he has his downfall, the flowers begin to wilt and the petals fall, he gets pricked by the thorns, and by the end of it, the flowers have just died or something. But, well, that really depends on if I want a good ending or a bad ending for this story, which I'm not sure because, well, I guess that'd be a matter of time and planning to do that. But yeah, there we go. Hopefully I was able to show you well enough how to make a collage, or like a mood board in Canva, because I honestly tried to find tutorials for it and I had a bit of a hard time. And I also like wanted to talk about like why make a mood board, why would it help, what processes you can use it during. You can use it before a book, during a book, or even like when you're outlining to get back into like the core of the book. Visual like strategies and mediums are really flexible when it comes to writing because, as I said, humans associate pictures with different things, and we can look at pictures and make stories out of them, just like how I made this story out of this 9-picture collage. So hopefully this has helped you, and I appreciate you watching. If you're interested, every Saturday at 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Time, I do stream for a couple or 3 hours for some productive writing or editing sessions, and you can come along to do it too. Let me know what you thought of this video, and if you want to see more like this, or if you have any suggestions, then let me know. And thank you for watching. I will see you next time.